delegates and alternates that have been elevated. We have 11 vacancies, and we were originally appropriated 184 delegates. All in favor of accepting the credentials report, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we begin with the Rules Committee report. The report is as follows. The district caucus shall begin at 7 p.m. on Friday, February 22 at the Lansing Center in Lansing, Michigan. 2. District caucus shall abide by the most recently adopted rules by the state party for the state convention to be held on February 2022 to the extent they are applicable to the district caucus. 3. The duly elected delegates and alternates shall caucus for the following purposes. A. Electing one district chairperson. B. Electing one district vice chairperson of the opposite sex as the chairperson. C. Electing one district secretary. D. Electing one district treasurer. E. Electing 6 state committee members, 3 of whom shall be male and 3 shall be female. F. Electing 8 at-large delegates to the 2nd District Committee. G. Electing one convention vice chairman to preside as chairman of the district caucus. H. Electing one convention assistant secretary to serve as secretary of the congressional district caucus. I. Confirmation of the executive committee chairs of Kent, Lake, Mason, Muskegon, Nuevo, Oceana, and Ottawa counties as at-large members of the 2nd District Committee. 4. Unless there is objection, the current 2nd District chairperson shall preside as the chairperson of the caucus, and the 2nd District secretary shall serve as the secretary of the caucus and as the state convention vice chairperson and state convention assistant secretary respectively. At the beginning of the caucus and after a roll call and approval of the agenda, the 2nd District chairperson will call for the election of these officers by unanimous acclamation. If there is an objection, nominations will be taken. 5. In order to be qualified to vote, each delegate and alternate shall present their credentials to the Credentials Committee for verification. Only those delegates and properly seated alternates may vote. Each delegate and alternate shall wear a credential badge at all times as provided. A. Once all delegates and alternates have had their credentials verified by the Credentials Committee, each county chairperson to the caucus shall elevate alternates as necessary to fill each respective county's delegation to the caucus. Should report the names of the alternates and elevated to the delegate of the Credentials Committee. B. A roll call by the 2nd District chairperson shall then be taken as each county's voting delegation as verified by the Credentials Committee. Any challenge to any delegate or elevated alternate must be made immediately following the roll call to the Credentials Committee. Each challenge shall be ruled upon by the Credentials Committee at that time. Failure to challenge a credential at a time will result in the waiver of the challenge. 6. Nominations shall not close for any office until the district chairperson indicates to the delegation that nominations shall close if there are no further nominations, at least 3 times. Following the chairperson's statement that there appears to be no further nominations as to each office to be filled. 7. The next order of business shall be the election of officers as set forth in Rule 3 above. If the office is uncontested, there shall be no nominating speeches, and the vote shall proceed by acclamation. 8. If there is a contested race, each nominee shall be entitled to one 1-minute nominating speech. Following all speeches, ballots shall be issued by assigned tellers for distribution to the voting delegates through each county chairperson. Ballots shall be numbered to verify the vote count. All nominees for any office shall be put on a single ballot, and all voting delegates shall vote the number of votes for the number of positions in said office. But where there are multiple positions within each office, each vote must be cast for a separate candidate. The candidates receiving the most votes shall be elected. Where there are multiple positions, the top vote getters will fill the positions. 10. These rules shall be available in writing at all times. Each delegate, 10. These rules shall be available in writing at the time each delegate and alternate check in. 11, the caucus shall report to the Secretary of the Michigan Republican State Committee prior to the convening of the state convention at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, February 23, 2013, the names and mailing addresses of the individuals elected to the office at the caucus convention. Mr. Holmes.
Chairman, I move adoption of the rules as presented.
Okay. Just a second. Mr. Shaw. And one of the questions that I've heard is what happens if the chairperson elected is male and the vice chair is male? Can you address that?
To restate the chairman's question, what happens if under these rules, two people of the same sex are elected to chair and vice chair? There is a provision in Roberts for the person who would have been elected, i.e. the vice chair, the same sex as the chair, for that person to refuse the office. And under Roberts, it would then proceed to the next person who had achieved the next highest number of votes. So in this case, there is actually a provision that would address that concern you raised.
This time I'll recognize Mr. Karras.
I rise to make a motion. I have laid before the chair a set of rules on a green sheet of paper. My motion is to substitute these green sheet rules for the rules just received from the Rules Committee in their entirety. The green sheet of rules has been made available to every
There is a motion that's been seconded. There's a motion that's been seconded. This is now discussion. Okay. In discussion, you are allowed to rise if you're recognized to make a motion. In this case, when he's done reading the motion, if he has support, that will then become the primary motion in front of us, although the main motion will remain the Rules Committee report.
I'll make it clear. The green sheet of rules has been made available to every delegate and alternate pending the process. As the chair, now would you like to have a second? And I must discuss why I raised this motion. You recognize that? Could I use the podium to do that? I'll take it up.
Our proposed rules avoid the sloppiness which characterizes the rules offered by, which we've just heard introduced by the chair. I can go over this in detail if the caucus so desires. Suffice it to say, for now, that the sloppiness opens the door to arbitrary decisions by the chair regarding what the rules really mean, and even to abuse. This sloppiness should not be ratified by the caucus. The district committee unanimously adopted on February 6th a set of caucus rules to be proposed to this caucus. They did so upon the recommendation of the district chair. The chair has now offered a different set of rules for consideration through the report of that you've just heard introduced. Regardless of the merits of the chair's alternative, that alternative should have been introduced to you as ours has just been, as a substitute for the rules unanimously approved by the district committee on February 6th. We have also endeavored to share with you our proposed rules well in advance of this caucus. The district committee and the chair have chosen to withhold their proposed rules until the day before the caucus. We do not believe that 24 hours lead time during the work week allows delegate delegates and alternates adequate time to review and reflect upon the rules and their ramifications. Our proposed rules call for all offices to be filled in potentially competitive elections, not just a subset of these rules. This is a simple and direct reading and application of the state rules and bylaws. The state rules and bylaws say elect, and we say elect. This is not convoluted. It does not depend on a situational interpretation of the word is and so forth. More to the point, we do not want to reserve 7 positions on the district committee for sitting county chairs.
That's right.
Filling these positions on the district committee with county chairs may be an important and even an overriding consideration for some of the delegates. But we do not believe that the caucus rules should impose this criterion on all delegates preemptively through the adoption of the rules. Our rules give priority to the election of the district chair. This allows the election of the district chair to proceed with knowledge of the sex of the district chair. This is important since the district vice chair must be of the sex opposite to the one of the district chair. We also believe that if a candidate does not prevail in one race, he or she should not be disqualified from running for another position. In other words, if Barb were to lose to Ivan this evening, we do not believe that Barb should be disqualified from running for vice chair. A single ballot for all positions voted all at once makes this virtually impossible.
Right.
Our rules insist that all competitive positions can only be filled by candidates who gain a majority of the ballots voted for their positions. Moreover, our rules include a simple procedure if this does not happen on the first round of voting. We believe that all elected positions should have the endorsement of a majority of the voting delegates. We also believe that if this does not occur on any initial round of voting, procedures should not just be made up on the fly to deal with this contingency. The rules of the district committee or of the chair clearly do not impose a majority requirement for elected positions. They also clearly do not include a provision for dealing with the absence of a majority in the first round. If the chair would now do me the courtesy of asking whether there are delegates with questions for me before I relinquish the floor, I would appreciate it very much. Are there any questions from the, sorry, in front of you? Yes.
When the meeting occurred on February 6th, there were in attendance.
Yes.
And why are you raising those things now when you should have raised them then? You're taking the whole process and choosing at the last meeting. The very thing you're saying you don't want to do.
Could I ask a question? Thank you. Right. He's asking, why are we doing what we're doing now? Because I was at the February 6th meeting. I was not invited. I never heard or received a formal invitation to the meeting. However, I heard secondhand that there was such a meeting, and I went and listened. And I listened because this was my first introduction to what was happening. I received at that meeting a copy of the rules that were unanimously agreed to. I went home and I read them and I reflected on them and came to the conclusion that these are very poorly written rules. Very poorly written rules. And then I hoped that the district committee would share the rules with the rest of the delegates. They did not. In fact, you did not receive a set of rules from anyone on the district committee until you receive Kurt's amended version of those rules yesterday. Excuse me, that is correct.
All right. Any other questions? Raise.
Do we have ballots?
That, Mr. Van Bush, I recognize Mr. DeBrey.
I go back to this district 35 years. The reason for having chairs on the ballot is for not the statutory requirement of this committee, but the fact of bringing the whole district together on one page for the election. If the delegation slate that has been proposed is adopted, my county and Lake County is cut off from the second district. We just eliminated it from the second district.
Maybe the way.
That does not work well in an election.
And I missed the question. I missed the question.
How far do you go back and for the reason why you want to change it?
I've been in this district for 1,335 days. That's a precise answer to your question, okay?
Mr. Van Bush, this is going to be the last question, then we're going to have something.
Do we have the ballots printed in the event of, as you said before, if I were to be elected and Mark were to go for the vice chair position, do we have an 80 ballot printed?
Yeah, not a print. We have sufficient ballots to deal with that contingency.
Sorry. At this time, I'd like to have someone who would like to speak against the
We had a motion for moving the question, but I thought there was a motion on the floor.
Well, we're still in discussion. Who's going to give?
We can't hear all the way in the back.
Calling the question is in fact a debatable motion. What the chairman has ruled is that debate has not had sufficient time and therefore debate should continue. You may appeal the decision of the chair to cut off debate. If you're calling the question, you're calling the question on the current motion, which is not the primary motion, but it is the motion immediately before this body.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak against the motion? Second motion. The one. Mr. Holmes.
These rules are rules that we have used for some time. If you get a set of rules of the detail that Mr. Curtis wants, it's something that will take 6 months to have everybody get their input and make it go of it. And maybe that's something for the next convention. But for this convention, I think the train has left the station in terms of the county.
No, that's not the case.
He has the floor. Okay?
And in terms of each county having a vote, that is our tradition. It is important. It is important that it be the vote of the county chair, because they're the ones that legally have the responsibility for the county, and they're the ones that can make the district work. So I think it's very important to have that. It's very important to have fairness to everybody. It's very important, as our congressman said, to get all people on board and all counties on board. I've been chair of a big county and of the district, and I want everybody to be a part of this, and I think it's very important for the small county. So I want to just say on the basis of history that that is a very important kind of a thing, and the kind of ballot that we're going to use if the Rules Committee report passes, is the way you vote in elections in Michigan. It's the way that the state committee votes in elections tomorrow, and it's counted in a very fair and open and secret ballot manner, and I think it's very fair in my own personal opinion.
Aye.